My name is Emil Harmsen. I am the CEO and Creative Director of EverFire Studios. It's a game development studio based around console gaming. We originally started out in mobile gaming. We got pretty far with a certain product, and then it kind of got oversaturated, so we left that and joined an accelerator. The idea of this talk is to give you an idea of my experience of going through that accelerator program, which basically gives you a 12-week model to build out your business, and they give you funding. I got $20,000 through a veterans program, and then they help you build out your lean business model, which is kind of a new way of doing business. Rather than running out giant business plans, rather you come up with an assumption and you test that assumption by actually engaging customers. So the talk today is to give you somewhat of an idea of what Open Alpha entails and the idea behind Open Alpha. I'm going to go through the process that we went through with our product BattleGnomes, and then some of the successes that have done this and done it quite well, and our experiences going through that. So let's begin. Vet Transfer is a national program to get veteran businesses off the ground and running. The Milwaukee chapter is the first one in the nation, and it became the sounding board for the rest of the nation. So we're getting a lot of returning veterans, and the U.S. government wanted to give opportunities to soldiers returning who had ideas to build out those ideas and start creating jobs. I am a U.S. Army Reserve veteran, and I was picked out because I had already built out a business model that appealed to the new type of business model that's being developed for multiple countries, or multiple companies across the country and the globe. So the managing directors of that are Greg Meyer, Nick Wickert, and Matt Dittman. And they assisted me through this process. They brought me in, and this was last summer, and put me through 12-week boot camp of business proportions. When I was making, or as I was coming up and I graduated and I went out into the market, I'd always wondered why AAA studios held on to their ideas all the way up until release, and why you had to sign tight NDAs, why I had to go out and work on a failed project and can't talk about it for 7 years even though it failed. To me, that seemed a little off and ridiculous. Why wouldn't you want people to look at your product prior to release? Then that way you would not release software or release a product in which the customer said, oh, this is crap. And then they're out their money, and then they're jaded on you and your company because they feel that they lost their money. So why not develop a process in which you engage your customers, get them as part of the product, get their hands on it. They'll let you know exactly what they think about it. Then you mold it and iterate on it, and you change it, and then they start saying, hey, this is awesome, it's starting to come, I would buy this. So that type of model exists in Japan. They use technology, early beta technology, where you can go in, you can sign a waiver, and you pay a lot of money for new technology that they're testing out. And you can walk out the store with a phone that nobody else has, but you're giving feedback on that phone, but you're the first to have it. So that type of thing exists within the gaming environment with customers and with gamers that hear about a new product coming out, and they all want to play it, they all want to touch it. They all want to see how the idea is being formed, they want to be a part of that. So we developed a system of, and calling it Open Alpha development. So once you get to a lean framework state, and you find the fun internally, you can take them and flip it and get it out into the customer's hands and leverage them to help you develop a software that they're willing to buy. And then thus mitigating risk. You're lowering the risk of developing something for a year plus. To have people not buy it is not something that, with big budgets, AAA is finding this problem consistently. And they're gambling all on sequels, prequels, because they can't come up with a new idea and have it fail. Otherwise, they're out hundreds of millions of dollars. The lean business model itself is based on Steve Blank out in California. He developed this way in which you get rid of the large business plan, and it builds right into agile mentality where you're not doing extra work that's going to get thrown out the window. I can spend the entire part of my master's thesis on something that hasn't been tested. Makes no sense. Why would I put all that work into a document without having tested it, and then come to find out that all of my assumptions were false, and I've wasted all those years of my life? So he designed this so we're actually getting out and engaging them, engaging the customer and saying, hey, I got this great idea, and I think it solves a problem for you. Would you like to try it? Do you think it would solve the issues that you're having within your business? And it's either a yes, no, and then you give it to them, and you go back and you take all that data, you go back, you change your product based on the customer feedback that you get, and then eventually you give it to them, and then they get that aha moment, like, oh, this is it, this solves my problem. Now you know you have a sale. It's all testing this out, these assumptions that you make, and getting verifiable data back, and ensuring that you release a quality product. His lectures are on Udacity, so you can go on there and you can actually look at all of his lectures. You can buy the book, The Startup Owner's Manual. When you get into the accelerator, this is the first thing they give you is the Startup Owner's Manual. And a lot of this I was already doing on my own because it just felt intuitive. It didn't seem like a good idea to keep everything under wraps and then release something after you spent all that money and then figure out that it's not what the customer wanted. To me, that just seemed like a giant waste of time. So that leads into how you're actually building out your business. I don't know if you've done a lot of reading lately about the industry and with 38 studios and how that basically went under and he lost $175 million of government money and funding and spent, Kurt Schilling lost all of his personal savings. Basically, you can have an idea for a game, you can bring in R.A. Salvatore, you can bring in all this top talent to work on a project, and then you can have EA come in and take control of it, and then you have all this money, and then you can still fail. Even with $175 million without testing this product out, you can still fail. If you don't run the business appropriately, if you don't monetize your product appropriately, it can fail. So this helps you build out to make sure that you actually know who you're selling to and why you're selling it to them, what are they finding value in, and then that way you can build that relationship and you can build a product that they'll end up buying. The idea is to go into this model canvas, which you can find online, there's some really good ones, where you can basically say, I got an idea for a game, and I want to put it into the marketplace on this platform. I'm going to make this type of genre. I'm going to sell it using this type of model, and you can put numbers to all this stuff. And if you do not get the numbers that actually you would need for a successful business, then you're doing it wrong. The way I look at it is everything is quantifiable. Everything has a number associated with it, from man hours to years of your life versus what you're selling at what price point. And you can associate that with an algorithm that you can pump out, and you can actually see through a formula, if I sell at this price, this product, and it takes me this much to make it, and the number is a negative number, you don't have a good business model. You're not selling it right. You don't have enough customers. It will tell you right away. I mean, math is key. This helps you get to that. So we decided to take the idea that we built, the first game we built out for the mobile market, it was called Battle Gnomes. It's still called Battle Gnomes, but we built a mobile version thinking that Bomberman 64 hasn't been made in a long time. If we could make a game like that and reskin it, make a lot of diverse characters, put in some Shiros, and throw it on the mobile device, that it would play well. And we think that a lot of people would find it attractive. It's just a fun, throw bombs around in a puzzle type arena, match PvP, or we have wave style gameplay where different waves came in and you had to survive the waves with a boss at the end for each board. And we had a storyline, comic book storyline built into it. And so we built out an MVP on this, and then we put it out on Congregate. So prior to that, when I got into the accelerator, I wanted to see, based on the early assumptions we made with the mobile market, if I brought it to the online free-to-play microtransaction model and made it MMO, or basically like League of Legends, how was League of Legends making money? So one day I mapped out the entire customer discovery segment. Who is our customer in a free-to-play model? In a free-to-play microtransaction model, I took every gamer type and found what we were selling and who it appealed to. So our outside demographic, obviously we weren't making any tabletop game. It wasn't a tabletop game, so we weren't trying to appeal to them. The free-to-play area, if we offered a free game, who plays the free games and how they actually come in and play the game, what they're interested in. So you get newbies that try out new different things. Our art style was based on a classic game, so we get some of the classic people that were nostalgia about Bomberman 64, casual players. They weren't really going to spend money on it. So when you really got down to the nitty gritty and you did the research, you find that it's one gamer type that spends all the money. About 15% of the people that play free-to-play games in this type of method, or exactly with League of Legends type of games, the whale is the one that spends the most money. They make up 15% of the population, and you actually make 3 times more money through this system. So then you figure out, well, what does it appeal to the whale that makes them spend that money, and why do you need to have a certain game type in order to appeal to the whale? Well, the whale psychologically needs to feel like everybody's watching that person because they buy all the cool stuff, they have all the bells and whistles. So they need that type of peer accolade so that they feel important. So if you go through the map and you map out everything that you're going to be selling, the genre and type you're selling and all that, and you find out who your actual person who spends the money on your game is going to be, then that tells you exactly what you need to sell in order to cater to that certain type. The other guys will come and go, you'll have stuff that they'll buy, but as long as you're satisfying the whale's need of being surrounded by a lot of people, which the free-to-play offers, it gives you that player base, they will spend the money in order to maintain an image. So you figure out the psychology of it. You can do this with every single game. You can come up with this entire map and figure it out. Who are you selling to? Is there enough people in that market segment? How much do they actually spend? What do they spend that money on? What appeals to them? And then you'll figure out exactly what type of game you need to build to cater to that so that you get the revenue that they're wanting to give you. So after we put it out on Congregate, and we put it out on Google Play, and we put it out on Amazon as well, and we wanted to get some early feedback on our tech demo. And people played it on Congregate, they really liked it. We used a keyboard control set. We didn't have a controller plugged into it yet, and they all screamed for the controller. They liked the gameplay. They wish the art was a little bit higher up. But overall, we had 3.5 out of 5 stars. And that usually does okay in the gaming industry. If you get a good decent score like that, you will sell relatively well. Out of that, we got 6,700 plays. So we got a lot of good customer feedback off of that model. Google Play, similar, 350 downloads with a couple responses about the game. Google Play was the actual tablet side. So we had people actually play with the controls, and on a tablet, the tablet-based joysticks don't really respond very well, and they're wonky, which people told us. So we iterated on the control scheme, and we could never get it to function as accurately as we needed it to. So we decided, you know what, maybe mobile isn't the thing. We shouldn't be on mobile for this type of game. So we got off of mobile, and we started rebuilding through the accelerator to get out on Ouya, and hopefully with PC. Ouya doesn't have the multiplayer, which we wanted, so we kind of just were waiting for Steambox, and we put Battletoads on the shelf, and we're building out a couple more products right now. But at least we know that we have a product that people like, and we can add value to that will reinforce the success that we need to have it launch successfully. We also built booths. We had a demo day for vet transfer, and they had investors come in, they had other vets pitch their products, similar to an event like this, and we had multiple kiosks built up to where people could actually play the game. And this was our PC build that we built on it. We reskinned it, and we added a bunch of new animations, new combat. We had arena mode where people could battle 4v4, free-for-all. And when you start seeing people playing your game and they're smiling and having fun, you know you got something. I even had one guy fist pumping and going crazy. So when you get that response from your game, you know you've got something that potentially could sell very well. I wanted to give another example of one that did a similar thing that everybody pretty much knows about. I'm sure you've all heard of Minecraft, right? No? Oh my God. Minecraft did a similar thing. Notch built out a quick little demo, and he put it out into the public arena. So on May 17th, he posted it in TIG source, TIG source, to some people that just build out and play ideas. And then over the next 24 hours, people went nuts, went all over that stuff, giving them feedback, playing it. And this, I pulled this from an article from PC Gamer. Somebody had mentioned to me that he did the same exact thing, and I did some research online, and I was amazed to see what I found. He was getting replies very quickly, and also another thing is that you can't believe everything that customers say. If you do, your name is Blizzard, and then you make Diablo 3 and everybody hates it because it's all based on customer metrics. You have to have a point to where you're smarter than the customer to not give them everything they want, because ultimately you will piss everybody off by breaking the game. Because customers at the end of the day don't understand quality, good design, and Notch saw that. He started seeing what was fun. This person obviously didn't think that mindlessly gathering resources was fun, but a lot of people actually do find that appealing. So he basically said, I'm going to try it. I don't care what you say, I'm going to see what happens. So he tried it, and it worked. And he found out that doing that type of stuff is actually really cool. So he made a good decision. He didn't have a name for the game, basically. So he put name out into the crowdsource model, and one of the other posters gave him a good name. And then Minecraft was born. So crowdsourcing is a big thing, especially if you look at Minecraft. A lot of the player-created content, it's all player-based. He gives you the tools to allow you to be creative, and you're using people to play test your game, to give you ideas. You're leveraging the minds of customers that are willing to buy. And then you can see that type of early customer engagement can lead to major success. Because the key is to mitigate the amount of risk that you're putting in by ultimately giving something that people want to buy and allowing them to be a part of that. When they're a part of the actual process of them developing or being next to you developing the game, gamers are extremely loyal. So if they feel that their ideas are validated, that they're being adhered to, and they start seeing their ideas flow into the game, you'll have a customer for life, basically. And I'm sure Notch would have a lot more customers. He would be able to retain a lot of his customers on his next project alone by using the same method and bringing people into the fold. So with this process of early customer engagement, it's something that's fairly new. AAA hasn't done it and hasn't really done it or accepted this type of model. But we're looking at developing this type of model through the gaming industry as a whole. It's going to become standard. A lot of these studios can bootstrap and run leaner by testing out these products early, coming up with ideas and vetting them prior to actually releasing them. And then maybe going to Kickstarter. So if you validate already that you have a decent idea, you can take it then into Kickstarter and get it crowdfunded. You'll get early evangelists who will scream your names like this. These guys are awesome. You need to look at their product, look at what they're doing. And you're leveraging people that are out there in this scene, being active in this scene, trying to be a part of helping new ideas go to market. This summer, I got through the state of Wisconsin, through the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, a funding to start a seed accelerator for computer simulation and gaming that allows teams to come in. There's an application you can fill out, and I have some mentors from the industry that will be coming in to look at the different ideas, and we'll pick the top 5 ideas that we think have a strong business model that will be given. They'll be given a 12-week program to develop out their business model by going through the lean canvas and then being able to shape their business that molds to the product that they're trying to sell, and then basically finding out who's if they're gonna run kiosks and play test and give their game out to people to find out whether or not their assumptions are validated, and then we'll work with them so that after the 12 weeks they can release or go to market with their product and again give them seed funding. This is a nonprofit, so it's all grants. So we'll be able to give teams $10,000 each, and then we're also getting free software from Unity, Pro Tools, UI is a partner, so we can develop for UI as well. Microsoft Studios, we're developing a product with Microsoft Studios using the Kinect and the Oculus. So they're very interested in what we can do with the lab. And my own company, EverFire, I have a lot of resources, a lot of tools to develop over in the space. We're at the Blatz Brewery where Vet Transfer is. And Keith Fuller and Guild Software, John Bergman, are going to be some mentors that will help us out. They both have delivered AAA products to market. And the Milwaukee Institute. So this is just the beginning of using this model and applying it to game development so that we can start putting successful products out to market. And basically building out lean frameworks first and actually testing our game before we actually release it. In a nutshell, that's pretty much what this system is and what it's designed to do. And any questions?
Is there a focus on how you want submissions presented?
There's a form, so on the website, emergentlabs.org, there's a form and application where you follow the process and it tells you what to submit. Also, we are going to be running a game jam to bring in 48 hours of people developing a product at the Blatz from May 3rd to 5th. And then at the end of it, at 5 p.m. on Sunday, I'll have a panel that will look at the different products that are built, and we'll pick one team that will automatically get a spot.
Do you prefer, I'm sure you got more detail when you're working there, but do you prefer like a video presentation?
Yeah, it requires one video, I think, a video of your product, just so we can see exactly what it is that you're building. Get a good idea. Just what is your company name? You don't have to have formed a company, you just have to have an idea that you vetted for your company name that isn't taken. And then basically what are your key differentiators, what makes your product so unique? Because obviously it's saturated, so you have to figure out who your competitors are and why you're special. If you have a demo or a prototype, that's awesome. URL showing it off. If you have a website built, whatever promo material you have built for it. Describe your business. It's not so much it's not what you're selling, but how you sell it and the way that you're actually developing. So your business model actually within this industry, within actually going to investors and stuff like that, they don't get games very much unless you go to Silicon Valley or Austin. You know, what they look at is how you develop. So this lean business model actually cuts 2/3 of the development costs, almost half of the development costs, so that you can get something out very quickly, and then we don't have to spend a lot of money getting to the core fun of the game, and then you shave off all the bells and whistles that aren't necessary for a first release of a product, and you can get a game out the door much quicker for a lower cost. And when business leaders or venture capitalists or angel investors, when they see that you have a model and they see the numbers that reflect, if I give you this set amount of money, it's only going to take you this long, and this is total cost versus a return on this, then they're in. I've gotten a lot of people interested in EverFire just because of the model in which we develop. A very quick rate, bottom-up driven, motivated teams that have engagement into the product, and we're vetting the product early. Investors really want to see that you've actually had customers touch your product. And once they see that you've done that, they can scale it out with a number, and they can see the return on their investment, and then they're in. You know, so this type of model plays really well into getting seed funding and angel funding and all that good stuff. They like to look at your background too. Who are you? What makes you an expert? Who's on your team? Who founded the company with you? Who are your key players? What's their background? They want to see LinkedIn. I would recommend having your LinkedIn set up like a pro. I mean, everything that's relevant to what you're doing. Make it look really good. I got a rock star status on mine. It's really nice. I always groom that thing. It looks good. But LinkedIn is an awesome tool because then I don't have to spell out everything for them. I can just give them my link and it's all right there. You know? So it's a good snapshot. Let's see. How are you monetizing? So they want to see what are you selling? How will you make money? Let's see, competitors and differentiators. Do you have any other investors that are already on board? Do you have anybody that's given money, either internally or externally? What that tells me is that you've actually talked about your product to other people and they want in. If they start giving you money, then that means they're excited about your product, and I know you can talk to people that sell, then that's a very good component. Where is your company located? We like to have at least one person in the Milwaukee area that's going through the program that we can yell and scream at. So if you want to get somebody else to go through the trenches, then that's cool. But no, they're the ones that are going to be pitching. They're the ones who are going to be presenting the business model canvas and basically saying, you know, this is where we think we need to be. This is the market we're selling in. This is how we're selling the product. And people that have been in the industry can tell you right away, you know, that's not going to work or that's going to work. That's really good. So you're going to get that feedback right away based on your business model, and you know what you're selling to whom. And then how will you use the money? So if we give you 10 grand, what would you use it on? Software, equipment, marketing. I saw a really good talk over in the Global Accelerator Network at basically a Gatekeep Growth strategy, where when you start getting your initial funding is being able to take that money and put it right back into the funnel so that you're getting more customers. So new customer acquisition, which then brings the base out more and more and more, and then that leads to a full revenue stream. So don't just let early money just sit there. Have a strategy for it so that you're funneling it into channels that brings in new customers, and then there's a point where it explodes. So if you have that strategy, that's really cool. And then how did you hear about us? And why should we choose you? So it's also the culture, the business model in which you develop games. What type of culture do you have, you know, with your team? Do you guys hang out all the time? Are you constantly building? Are you having fun? You know, that type of stuff. So we can see that you have a quality team that actually cares about one another. That way there's no, you know, you don't have a lot of infighting. People are co-located, you know, that type of stuff. Culture's a big thing. Okay, any questions about Open Alpha and the ideals of it? Have any of you tried engaging customers or putting your product out there? Where at?
Just inviting outside parties to come demo at school and at some of the activities.
That's good. Did you get good feedback off of that?
Yeah, it's very much a work in progress. A lot of times because it presented on it, but visually, and it's a multiplayer game, so you get a chance to demo a lot outside of our team with the multiplayer feature.
Well, that's good. In California, this is how they roll. They have accelerators out there, and they just bring in busload after busload of people just to test ideas. That's all they do. They're 10 years ahead of us. I mean, just constantly getting people to touch their stuff. And then whatever one gets good feedback or it starts to escalate, and they get good reports on, that's the one they'll build on. You know, so if we get to that scale where we're all trying different cool ideas and the customer really is enjoying playing them, then all we need to do is just build it out and they'll buy it. So that's getting rid of the risk entirely. So that's the new way of the future. That's the way it's going to start rolling. So it's just a matter of you guys learning how this lean business model system works and applying it to actual game development. So I think the days of the tight NDA are gone.